Anyway, honorable members, the only item on the order paper is questions addressed to the Deputy President. There are 4 supplementary questions on each question. Parties have given an indication of which question their members wish to pose a supplementary question. Adequate notice was given to parties for this purpose. This was done to facilitate the participation of members who are connecting to the sitting through the virtual platform. The members who will pose supplementary questions will be recognized by the presiding officer. In allocating opportunities for supplementary questions, the principle of fairness, among others, has been applied. If a member who is supposed to ask a supplementary question through the virtual platform is unable to do so due to technological difficulties, the party whip on duty will be allowed to ask the question on behalf of their member. When a supplementary question, when all supplementary questions have been answered by the Deputy President, we will proceed to the next question on the question papers. Members asking supplementary questions or raising point of order may remain seated when doing so. Honorable members, there was a request to the Office of the Speaker by the Office of the Deputy President, as he is assigned on official duty to Saudi Arabia, and he has to board as soon as we finish, so he's going to be on virtual. Thank you very much. As we proceed, it down. No, I was going to call a member, but you can come in.
No. House Chair,
thank
you very much. I didn't want to disturb the Deputy President when it's time for him to respond to questions. The reason why I'm standing up, House Chair, simply because tomorrow, South Africa, the cricket team, is playing against Afghanistan in the semi-final of the Cricket World Cup. And I think it is important that this House, because we're not going to sit before then, that through this House is able to wish them well and to get the whole country to rally behind them, as we did with the Springboks, so that we do it for all the other national teams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babu Nkwankwa. I think we, as the House, we share your sentiments and wish them well. Thank you very much. The first question, which is question number 19, is asked by Dr. Lotriet to the Deputy Speaker, Deputy President. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson, and good afternoon to all members. Honorable House Chair, in addition to other responsibilities that the President has assigned to me, I also serve as a leader of government business responsible for the following: monitoring the implementation of the legislative program in Parliament. This includes tracking the procession of priority bills. Second, introducing measures to effectively monitor and improve the quality of legislation submitted by the Executive Council. In line with these responsibilities, we have introduced the following measures. There is a dedicated official in the Office of the Deputy President responsible for tracking legislation as introduced by the Cabinet. Second, all bills are tabled before Cabinet committees before being submitted to Cabinet for final approval. Bills that do not meet the required standards are not submitted to Cabinet, but rather they are sent back to the relevant departments for further work. All Cabinet meetings have a standing agenda item for the leader of government business to report, especially on legislation. The Deputy President, as a leader of government business, reminds all ministers in writing to submit priority legislation on time and in line with the Parliament program. In this regard, the Deputy President, as the leader of government business in Parliament, convenes regular meetings with the Speaker, the Chairperson of the NCOP, and other presiding officers of Parliament in order to streamline legislative program. Honorable House Chairperson, I am pleased to report that Cabinet approved 42 bills on the 2023 legislative program on the 29th of March this year. As of the 26th of October this year, 22 bills on this program have already been introduced to Parliament and are broken down as follows. 4 bills pronounced during SONA by the President have all now been introduced. 17 mandatory money bills, 9 have been introduced. 9 legislation with constitutional court deadlines, 3 have been introduced. 12 critical priority bills, 6 have been introduced. The rest of the bills are currently being processed. In preparation for the next term, we will ensure that all the policy and legislative reforms introduced in the 6th Parliament are realized. I thank you, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. As I invite the Honorable Laureate for a follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Deputy President, it is clear that these mechanisms that you have in place are not working. Not only are we sitting with a raft of bills to be dealt with before the end of term, but there is a very real possibility that many of these bills will lapse with no guarantee that they will be revived in the 7th Parliament. This tardiness becomes even more problematic when Parliament is not able to meet its deadlines set by the Constitutional Court and have to ask for extension upon extension. Judges have been scathing in their judgments about Parliament and ministers. And to add insult to injury, the negligence of members of the executive to submit legislation timelessly almost caused great embarrassment for the country. We would not have been able to celebrate the Springboks last week and their wonderful achievement if we weren't given a last-minute reprieve for not complying with the WADA anti-doping requirements. This was totally preventable by having proper monitoring systems in place that work to ensure the country at least have necessary legislation to ensure our international compliance. The same goes for the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. These are bills that can have serious consequences for the country, and it is unacceptable that it is left to the last minute. Deputy President, as leader of government and business, will there be consequence management? Will you take action against these ministers? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable, the Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable House Chairperson, let me reiterate once more that I have written to all ministers who wanted to introduce priority legislation. We did set deadlines. I must say that many of the ministers complied, and we did put a deadline to say beyond this point, we are not taking any more bills, because I think it's important that we give Parliament an opportunity to be able to have time to process these bills. So you are quite right, Honorable Member, that if we bring bills late, it creates a problem because many of these pieces of legislations are required out there in society. So yes, we have strongly stressed to ministers that legislation must come on time. In fact, we've agreed with the president that if ministers don't bring legislation on time, they won't see the light of day because they have to go to cabinet committees to be processed to ensure that the quality is okay before they can go to cabinet. We will consider what other further measures we will take in case the problem persists. But so far, all the bills that were required for this year have gone through past cabinet, and I do hope that Parliament will be able to process them. Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Thank you very much, House Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. The Honorable Khadebe.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We appreciate the fact that the executive is committed to the radical socio-economic transformation of the country, as articulated in the Freedom Charter. This agenda can be achieved through the introduction of progressive laws, such as the NHI Bill and Expropriation Bill. Since Section 85 of the Constitution gives the executive the right and authority to prepare and initiate legislation when Parliament is in session, is it correct to expect the executive to relinquish its authority to introduce bills because the general elections are around the corner? And in doing so, will that not undermine the aspirations of South Africans to achieve a better life for all through new laws and amendments to the existing laws? Because as what we're urging the South African citizens to register next week, will that not undermine that process? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable the DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Khatebe, our legislative program is in line with the manifesto of the governing party. So ministers look at what the governing party has committed to do, and they then develop legislation. Secondly, the issues that the president raised during SONA, a number of them do require legislation, so that also get considered. Thirdly, some of the issues that come from courts, including the Constitutional Court, require that certain pieces of legislation be processed. So that's what we do. We make sure that these various bills do go through during the term of office of the governing party, because you don't want to leave legislation to be processed in the next term. You have to do all of them in the current term. So we are busy processing those to ensure that come the elections next year, legislation that was required during this term has actually been processed and not left to fall over to the next term. So all those bills I mentioned are now before committees of Parliament. Some have been published, and I'm confident that by the end of the term of this Parliament, we would have processed all of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Singh, you're next to ask.
Honorable House Chair, I will take the question on behalf of Honorable Singh.
Proceed.
The Honorable Deputy President, some of our bills do not meet the constitutional values and quality as promised to South Africans. Not long ago, the Minister of Health was slammed by the Constitutional Court on the bill, meaning that the quality of bills that are being processed are not thought through. I would like to know what mechanisms are in place to ensure that bills align with our constitutional values to ensure that they fit the post-apartheid context we live in. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable GP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson, and thank you to the Honorable Member. Honorable House Chairperson, as I said earlier, when a bill is being processed, it goes through cabinet committees. The minister, the DG will make presentation. They can even bring experts. They bring their lawyers, they present. That's where we ensure that we become rigorous to ensure that the quality of the bills is up to standards. I did say earlier that in situation where the bill does not meet the standards, it doesn't pass to cabinet. It's sent back to be reworked on. And also we know that in most cases, before the president assent to pieces of legislation, they get checked once more, the legalities thereof, so that they meet all the standards. So from our side, measures are in place to ensure that all legislation that is passed by government meet the right standards that are required, and therefore we make sure that we are very rigorous. It may happen that in some instances, one or two things is missed, as you refer to the Minister of Health, but most cases, the majority of our bills do meet the required standards that is needed, and that's why they have gone through. Thank you very much, Honorable Member.
Thank you. The Honorable Reverend Swart.
Thank you, House Chair. Arising from your response, Honourable Deputy President, the ACDP, and I'm sure all of us in Parliament, are deeply concerned about missing Constitutional Court deadlines for remedial legislation. Deputy President, you indicated 9 have deadlines and 3 have been tabled. Now, in that recent Constitutional Court ruling, for the first time ever, the Constitutional Court ordered that the Minister of Home Affairs and his DG must personally pay parts of the costs, which means that bill fell through the cracks. And the court, in expressing its discomfort and upset with what was said that the DG had attempted to blame its delay on COVID pandemic and the fired parliament, although this had taken place 24 months past the deadline. And there was also comment about parliament, which obviously, on the face of it, that there was campaigning for re-election seemed to be more important to members than meeting the deadline for the enactment of remedial legislation. What mechanisms can we put in place from the executive to ensure Constitutional Court deadlines are met to avoid such judgments? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's avoid preambles so that we don't run over with time. The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. We continue to look at mechanisms to improve. Obviously, what we did from March this year, as I indicated earlier, I do write letters to all ministers, ask them if they have priority legislation, and indicate to them the deadlines that we put in place, particularly after discussion with presiding officers. And I must say that most of the ministers do keep to those deadlines, including legislation that must be passed as required by the constitutional law, the Constitutional Court. So, my inclination, Honorable House Chairperson, is that all the legislation that have gone, or all the bills that have gone through cabinet, will definitely be passed before the end of the term of this parliament, because, as I said, all of them are currently now being processed. Of course, it means a lot of work for parliament, because we are going towards the end. We're going to try in the coming term that most of this legislation should come in much earlier, than later in the year. But we as cabinet have now processed everything that needed to be processed. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Thank you very much, House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable GP. We now proceed to question number 20, asked by the Honorable Shivambu to the Deputy President. The Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable House Chairperson, as part of our efforts to assess progress that the government is making in implementing its programs, the President and I have been meeting all ministers, deputy ministers, DGs, and all heads of departments. In this regard, the President and I have had the opportunity to also meet the Minister, Deputy Minister, and the Commissioner of Police to brief us on the work that they are doing, the plans that they have to fight crime in the Republic of South Africa. The ministry currently is implementing Operation Shanyela, a comprehensive plan to combat crime throughout the country. The plan includes clamping down, amongst others, on illegal mining and other serious crimes. The South African Police Services has established specialized units to work with business, private security, state-owned enterprises to tackle illegal mining, the construction mafia, cable theft, the vandalism of economic infrastructure, and also gender-based violence. The minister also announced that recruits are being enlisted to increase the capacity of the police. In this regard, 10,000 new trainees have already graduated, and over the next financial years, additional trainees will graduate, bringing the total number to 30,000 new police officers. 1,000 of the newly recruited personnel have been ring-fenced to increase the capacity of public order policing, which deals with crowd management issues and threats resulting from that. The POP has, by the end of October this year, received an additional 4,000 members resulting from this recruitment drive. Honorable House Chairperson, I have confidence not only in the Minister of Police, Minister Cele, Deputy Minister Matale, and Commissioner Masemula, but in all men and women in blue, right to the lowest ranking police officer, who are committed to fighting and defeating crime in our communities. The recently launched, and I quote, combating crime through decisive police action and robust community involvement, and the operationalization of increased crime prevention and combating action plans through Operation Shanyela are yielding results in the fight against crime in our community. Honorable House Chair, we will continue to work jointly with the private sector to invest in efforts to combat crime. I also urge communities to continue to be involved in efforts to fight crime. They must work with the police and expose the rotten apples within our police force. Together, we will win this fight. Let's continue to build safer communities. I thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you, Dupi. I am told that Honorable Mthethwa will take charge of the follow-up question on behalf of Mr. Shivambu.
Thank you, Chair. Today, the City of Johannesburg, under the experienced guidance of Commissar Dr. Mthembu,
Proceed, Baba.
Bitan Timen.
Honorable Makwetla Kwala.
a former EFF member of Parliament and current member of the Mayoral Committee for Public Safety, launched a new crime combating and prevention unit, as well as a tactical reaction unit. This step taken due to EFF number 39 as prevention. Realization that SAPS lack the capacity and willingness to adequately address the surge in the city crimes, such as robberies, cash in transit, heist, and theft, marks a significant move towards restoring order in the city. In order to extend this initiative, can you commit to engaging with the city of Johannesburg, particularly Dr. Komisa Tswaku, to establish these specialized units across local government? Additionally, would you consider proposing a conditional grant dedicated to funding these units in metropolitan municipalities? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable, the DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Honorable Mieni, please, actually, sorry, DP. Honorable members on the platform, please check your gadgets, all of you, and switch them off. No, we can't talk the same thing every day. It's too much now. We
Thank
don't
you.
want to know if you are in or not. We have the participations list on our gadgets too. Proceed, Honorable DP, and my apologies for that.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Mthethwa, the approach to policing over a number of years now has been to integrate our approach. So the South African Police Services does work with the municipal police, or some are called metropolitan police, throughout the country. So indeed, we will ensure that the SAPS does work with the City of Johannesburg as they are supposed to. And they are supposed to work with all other cities because we will succeed to combat crime and defeat it if all the security forces work together and not in silos. And this is an approach that has been pursued now over a number of years. And I think it will be important that it continues to be pursued, including in the City of Johannesburg. We do want to see the City of Johannesburg working closely with the SAPS. And as I said earlier, Honorable House Chair, the South African Police Services do also work with private security companies. We enlist the services of the private sector where necessary so that we can ensure that we increase our efforts to combat crime. So the answer is yes, we will work with the City of Johannesburg as we continue to work with all other cities. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Mahambe Shala. IT, please assist me. Just mute everybody whose mic is open. Please assist me. Babu Kaba, Uthunyiwe.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Deputy President, the fight against crime...
Honorable Kaba, I'm sorry, you are tall. That thing is, no, don't sit down, just try to bend. It's not very long.
I will do, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. Deputy President, the fight against crime and corruption and building safer communities is one of this government's top priorities. In line with that, the President of the Republic of South Africa directed that significantly more resources be made available for the police, the NPA, and a special investigating unit, and that these agencies be beefed up with resources, skilled and professional individuals, including ensuring that the investigative directorate is established within the NPA to boost the country's fight against crime and criminality. Deputy President, what progress is being made to give effect to this strategy in order to decisively deal with impunity, general lawlessness, and restore confidence in our crime-fighting structures? Thank you so much.
Again, preambles. Those who are coming now, I'm not going to allow you. The Honorable, the DP. It's
Thank you
1
very
minute.
much. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Kaba, yes, the President has ensured that there are a number of initiatives that have been put in place to ensure that we deal with the problem of serious crimes. As you are aware, the investigative directorate within the NPA is tasked to deal with many of these matters, investigate serious crime, corruption, etc. And they are empowered by the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, which has been passed to ensure that they can do this work. There are other pieces of legislation that are also in place to assist in combating these serious criminal activities, including corruption. One of them is the Protection of Constitutional Democracy and Terrorist and Related Activities Act. We also have in government, particularly for government departments, to deal with corruption, the PFMA, well known to many of us. There's also the Financial Intelligence Center Act that is in place. So there are a number of these pieces of legislation, Honorable Kaba, that are in place, and I'm convinced that given all these pieces of legislation, we will be able to succeed to deal with serious acts of criminality, corruption, because we have the capacity to investigate and to deal with all these matters that sometimes may seem complex. But these institutions, like the ID, have the capacity to be able to investigate. Thank you very much, Honorable Kaba. Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, DP. Honorable Wakefield.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Deputy President, you know more than most people that lawlessness and violent crime is not just reserved for the criminals in our streets, but there are men and women in blue who commit some of the most violent crimes in our country. And you have personal experience of your own VIP protection unit committing the most violent assault on innocent South African citizens on the side of the N1 in 4 ways. So the question to you, Deputy President, is what discussions have you had with the Minister of Police to ensure that there are real and meaningful consequences for police brutality? These officers are back at work. This is unacceptable. We need to know what you are doing to curb police brutality and ensure discipline amongst violent SAPS members. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable DP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Member, as I said earlier, members of the police are being trained and continuously trained. I did indicate earlier that within the next few financial years, 30,000 more police officers will graduate, and they would have received proper training. So the discussions that we had with the Minister of Police indicated that this is happening. From time to time, you may have challenges as we deal with implementation, but there is no one who don the attire of or the uniform of police to be a police officer who's not properly trained. All of them are being trained, and sometimes they deal with difficult matters out there, but they have been trained to be able to deal with people in a humane manner as far as possible. But outside the real world, we know we do have hardened criminals, and sometimes police then have to be able to act in a particular way to deal with those situations. But in most cases, they do apply what they have learned during training when they are at the police college. So I'm confident that South Africa will continue to do that, make sure that men and women in blue who are out there on the ground always implement the law and always respect the law. We know that when they don't do so, there are consequences. And they also know that if they don't behave in a manner that is lawful, they will face consequences as required by the law. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Kola Bornot and Honorable Papo, unfortunately, you are talking among yourselves and you are disturbing us. Honorable Threng?
Honorable Deputy President, it is common cause that South Africans are under attack, and this attack comes largely from the criminal element throughout the country. One can speak of the construction mafia, the new avocado mafia, and the drug and human traffickers plying their trade almost openly in some instances in front of and with the tacit consent of SAPS. Mr. Deputy President, it has been said that the Scorpions had a conviction rate of some 90%. Currently, SAPS has a conviction rate of 10% for murder and rape and an overall conviction rate of 20%. Now, does the Deputy President agree that besides SAPS, all crime-fighting units in South Africa need to be adequately capacitated? And if yes, will this include giving the Hawks its original mandate as under former President Mbeki? And if the Deputy President agrees, what are the timelines and parameters of this capacitation? If not, why not?
Thank you. The Honorable GP?
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Yes, indeed, I agree with the capacitation. In our meeting with Minister Cele, we were briefed with the President that that's what is now happening. I did allude earlier on to specialized units that are being set up to face particular kind of crimes. I guess that when you speak about specialized units, one could think, as the member is saying, about in the past, the Scorpions. They may be called in different names, but the issue is, yes, let's put in these specialized units to face various challenges. There are armed robberies in our country, there are burglaries, there's gender-based violence, there's illegal mining. So specialized units are being set up and are being given the necessary training and the necessary support, equipments that they can use We know that criminals are now very advanced, using sophisticated equipment. So should be the police. So we will support our police to also be able to use new technologies to be able not to lag behind criminals, but to be more ahead in terms of the equipments that they have. So yes, Honorable Member, we will ensure that this capacity is given as soon as possible. I can't give at the moment the exact time frames on when everybody would have been trained. But as I said earlier, a lot of those who are already working do continue to receive refresher courses, train, but new ones are also being enlisted now. And by end of the next financial year, as I said, we will have close to 30,000 new police officers on the ground. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, DP. We now move to question number 21, asked by the Honorable Malachi to the Deputy President. The Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable House Chairperson, I'm pleased to report that together with the leadership of the Human Resource Development Council, the HRDC, we have completed the 10-year review of the HRDC. And as a result, we are refocusing the work of the Council. The work of the HRDC has successfully been strengthened through partnerships, particularly between government, business, academia, trade unions or organized labor, civil society, and other sectors as well. And together addressing blockages in the country's human resource development. The HRDC has been critical in contributing to the economic reconstruction and recovery plan, serving as an anchor by ensuring that the plan is skills-based, innovation-led, entrepreneurship-driven, but also advances technology. Honorable House Chairperson, as part of our commitment to addressing the skills shortage in the economy, the government, through the Department of Higher Education and Training, is committed to ensuring that the doors of education and learning remain open to all our people, to the youth, particularly from historically disadvantaged backgrounds. The Department of Higher Education and Training is already engaged in preparing NFSAS for the coming year, 2024 academic year, through various measures, which includes the finalization of a new comprehensive student financial aid model for cabinet approval. As part of the process to develop this model, the department has consulted several stakeholders, including, amongst others, the Business Association of South Africa, NETLEC, and other participants like organized labor. According to the Minister of Higher Education and Training, clear proposals on the funding model will be submitted to the cabinet by the end of this year. The proposed funding model seeks to ensure that in the new academic year, particularly 2024, there will be the following: a retention of existing funding for poor students in the income bracket of 0 to 350,000 per annum per household, a funding strategy for the missing middle, which includes engaging with the financial sector to support by providing loans to students within that bracket, and also an incorporation of undergraduate and postgraduate students in the funding model. Regarding the challenge with direct payments, which started around June this year, the Minister of Higher Education and Training has already met and directed the board to investigate the extent of the problem and further devise a plan to address the identified challenges. To this end, the board has developed 7-point plan to speed up direct payments to affected individuals. Lastly, the minister has also directed the board to investigate the allegations of irregularities involving the appointment process of the 4 direct payment service providers. There have been notable actions on this matter. However, the board is still to provide a detailed plan on how it will respond to the remaining recommendations of the investigation report. Honorable House Chairperson, I thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm informed that Honorable Mashatile will take charge of the question as asked by the Honorable Malachi. The Honorable Mashatile.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Deputy President, the ANC-led government has positively responded to the call of generations of progressive student leadership and the Fees Must Fall protest by expanding the threshold for funding from 120 to 350,000, which is a 191 increase. Most of the students in higher education and training system are supported by NSFAS. In other institutions, over 80% of students are NSFAS funded. We have realized free education for the poor and the working class. This is the ANC election manifesto commitment we have accomplished. Supporting the missing middle in the context of an increased cost of living is critical to guarantee all student higher education access, and we welcome the work of Cabinet in this regard. We implore decisive interventions to strengthen the governance of NSFAS, as mismanagement elements in NSFAS undermine the progress of transforming the conditions of the poor and undermine the ANC implementation. In relation to the skills-based, innovation-led, entrepreneurial-driven, and advanced technology skill development, how will the Human Resource Development Council ensure that universities and technical and vocational education and training colleges offer a curriculum that responds to the skills areas which are critical for economic growth and employability of graduates? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable the DP.
Honorable House Chairperson, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Mashatile. The Minister of Higher Education in August this year addressed a seminar which dealt with curriculum transformation and innovation. And in that summit, he dealt largely with the issues that you are raising. So the summit, as hosted by the department, was under the theme TVET curriculum transformation, a key to unlock skills development in the modern economy. And one thing that we need to stress, Honorable House Chairperson, is that TVET colleges are very important in this regard. We know that many children, when they finish matric, they want to go to university, but we need a lot of our children to go to TVET colleges. And the minister has been stressing that a lot because we need artisans, etc. So this seminar was very important. And in addition, there is a white paper on post-school education and training, which also outlines this TVET curriculum. So we do hope that beyond this summit, many of our children have got the message to ensure that they find TVET colleges attractive because that's what the labor market needs. It needs those kind of skills that you can acquire by going to TVET colleges. So that is something that we support. I have been on a number of occasions with the Minister of Higher Education when we go out there in communities, particularly with the district development model, where he has spoken a lot, emphasizing the importance of TVET colleges to be able to ensure that we have the necessary skills that we require as a country. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, DP. Mam King.
Deputy President, there is a misalignment between the basic education and higher education to narrow the critical skills gap. NSFAS funds less than 50% of the career fields in the critical skills list. This is aggravated when students were defunded in June and more than 100,000 students did not receive their allowances, forcing students to abandon their studies due to hunger, destitution, and inability to cover their funds. Deputy President, really did Minister Nzimande in October present to Cabinet the awaited comprehensive student funding model on its sustainability, considering that the NTBPS highlighted a downward budget adjustment of 2 billion rand for NSFAS?
Thank you. The Honorable GP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, the Minister of Higher Education did present that model to Cabinet. He has been working hard with his team to ensure that we do meet the demands of our students. Honorable House Chairperson, we should take into account that the number of students going to universities and TVET colleges has increased a lot in the recent years, and therefore requiring that government increase its support. And you can see that increase in real terms. I mean, if you go back, 10 years ago, you'll see that perhaps the number of students that were going to universities and colleges maybe were 500,000. The number has since tripled. But so is the funding that government is providing. If I'm not wrong, I think as we speak now, NSFAS is well over 15 billion now, having started at around 600 million rands. So the number of students going to university and colleges, TVET colleges, is increasing, but government is also increasing support. We may not be able to cover everybody. I know Honorable Member is worried that there are students who may not have received their support, but government will do everything to ensure that every student that deserves does actually receive the necessary support. We are doing our best to ensure that our children must go to school, must go to colleges, must go to university, especially those who come from disadvantaged families. They will remain getting support from the government. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you. Mhlonishwa Kwankwa.
Thank you ever so much, House Chair. DP, apart from the responsibility that the Human Resource Development Council of South Africa has of fostering collaboration between government and the social partners towards addressing the skills gap, have you taken into account the need to start mobilizing funding from the private sector and from those social partners in order to be able to close or deal with the resource gap that we require to be able to actually close the skills gap and ensure that we invest in human capital development as this country? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable GP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Kwankwa, indeed, what we do in the Human Resource Development Council is to solicit partnership with the private sector, with civil society, organized labor. And I must say it has been going very well. We're finding a lot of support from these other partners to augment what government is doing already, because there's a lot that we need to do. There's a lot of resources required. So yes, Honorable Kwankwa, we are doing that. And I think it's important that if we want to ensure that many of our children benefit and we can have the kind of skills we need as a country, efforts must come from many sides, not just government, but the private sector as well, civil society. There are a lot of organizations out there that are involved in training. There are a lot of organizations that are doing funding. So I'm happy that with the work of the HRDC, we are reaching out to many of these partners and they are coming on board.
Thank you, DP. The next question is the Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Deputy President, I think we got it all wrong. A lot of emphasis appears to be on funds, and a lot of funds have been allocated to TVET colleges. 60% of those that are going to TVET colleges drop out in the first year. There is no mechanisms to monitor these students. Funding is being given, whether they even attend colleges one single day in the year. So there's a 60% dropout in the first year. Another 30% that make it fail mathematics, Deputy President. And then the problem is that the TVET colleges are not, no matter what discussions are taking place, not addressing the skills needs. Their curriculum is based on the availability of lecturers in these TVET colleges. How do you intend addressing that with your counterparts to ensure that we prepare them based on the skills needs of this country? Thank you, Deputy President and Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Sheikh Imam, one of the things that we have been doing in the recent years is to invest a lot in education from the early age. It's very important that we invest in our children right from the early age, what we call early childhood development. Because when you do so, by the time the children come to secondary, high schools, even before university, they've already been prepared. So I agree with you that in the recent years we have experienced, quite a high number of children dropping out of school. So it's important that we prepare them from as early as possible. So the Department of Basic Education is now putting a lot of resources on early childhood developments. I do think that if we do so, we'll have children who go to high school much better prepared and can avoid this problem of dropouts. So it's not so much a problem of whether they go to TVET colleges or university. I think it's a question of them being much better prepared from an early age as they come into the schooling system. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, DP. As we proceed to question number 22, asked by the Honorable Hlengwa, the Deputy President.
Honorable House Chairperson, thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Hlengwa. Honorable House Chairperson, Section 154 of the Constitution is important as it serves as a constitutional mechanism that effectively bolsters and fortifies the capacity of municipalities. It enables the national and provincial governments to support and strengthen municipalities to fulfill their responsibilities and provide quality services to the people. Whereas Section 139(1) of the Constitution prescribes that when a municipality cannot or does not fulfill its executive obligation in terms of the Constitution or legislation, the relevant provincial executive may intervene by taking any appropriate steps to ensure the fulfillment of that obligation. We have, Honorable House Chairperson, always believed that we must, as directed by Section 154 of the Constitution, continue to support municipalities to fulfill their constitutional mandates. In instances where there are serious capacity challenges, we'll have to implement Section 139, which is, in my consideration, the last resort in this instance. Hence, informed by Section 154 and the Intergovernmental Framework, in October 2019, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa launched the metropolitan version of the district development model. The President has always emphasized the need for an improved coordination and cooperation system for coherent planning and implementation between all spheres of government. Enhancing cooperative government through a district coordination model is to improve coherence and the impact of spatial targeting by all three integrated government spheres. For practicality, this integration is calibrated at the district and metropolitan scale. In improving coordination, we have established an interministerial committee, ideally positioned at the national level to facilitate and deliver on the above-mentioned vision, given its composition and also recent experiences. To date, district champions have been appointed and continue to oversee the implementation of the DDM, particularly as facilitated through the presidential DDM Izimbizo that have been held in all provinces. In carrying the mandate of overseeing service delivery interventions across the country going forward, I have convened the IMC on district-based service delivery coordination and implementation, which have now established a war room. Honorable House Chair, the district-based service delivery war room has been giving attention to the following, amongst others: identify service delivery hotspots for intervention, identified and is implementing quick wins for service delivery programs in hotspots by sector departments and their entities, is ensuring alignment of infrastructure development plans and operations with national, provincial, district plans, intensifying the implementation of pipeline infrastructure projects in the identified priority district and metropolitan municipalities. It's also ensuring policy coherence and unlocking bottlenecks to fast-track service delivery. And lastly, it is improving the safety and security of communities by providing early warning and quick win responses mechanisms in areas with service delivery problems. Through the service delivery war room, we have been doing outreaches. We visited a lot of provinces, many of them out there, including Northwest, Gauteng, Free State, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and we will be visiting many more of these provinces. Honorable House Chairperson, we believe that the DDM is the way to go, and we will work out there with traditional leaders, businesses, and other communities. In conclusion, let me say we are convinced that through improved coordination, service delivery intervention across municipalities related to infrastructure backlogs, and the provision of access to essential services can be fast-tracked. Be rest assured that we will not rest until we have brought stability across all municipalities. I thank you, House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable GP. The Honorable Hlengwa, Mama Josie.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, quest for power in municipalities mirror those of the governing party internal factional disputes, and the abuse of courts to settle political scores serve as an indication of weak internal democracy and mistrust therein. I am happy with your response on what the government is going to do, but I do hope that it is not only a lip service that you are saying today, because we are used to getting government processes and nothing has been done. But what I want to know is, how is the government safeguarding against the abuse of political power at the expense of South Africans? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable GP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson, and thanks to the Honorable Member. Thank you for understanding our approach in this regard. I agree with you that we must do everything in our power to ensure that we minimize disputes in municipalities, particularly if it's power struggles. As a governing party, we have taken a lot of steps to ensure that those we deploy to operate at those levels, whether as mayors, etc., go through a rigorous process of interviews. We select the best for the job and so on. It is human nature that in various spheres of life, you will have disputes, but we are doing our best to minimize them because, as you say, it does affect service delivery on the ground if people are not focused on the work, but engage in power struggles. We will definitely do more in this regard. We'll do our best. As I said when I concluded answering earlier, that we want to stabilize these municipalities, because municipalities are really at the cold face of delivery. They are the closest to our people. And if there's a sphere of government that must work even better, it is municipalities. And rest assured, we are paying attention to that. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you. The Honorable North Nagel.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. Honourable Deputy President, the district development model is designed to address problems with service delivery. From a local government perspective, most municipalities will attest to the struggle to get provincial and national departments to participate in their IDP and municipal planning processes. Through the service delivery war room, you stated that there was already an outreach and interaction with stakeholders in several provinces. When will the DDM as an operational model target the other provinces to improve cooperative governance and build a capable and ethical state? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable GP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Indeed, Honorable Member, I did allude to the fact that we're doing outreach programs now, going out to provinces. One of the responsibilities that the President has assigned to me is the implementation of the DDM. And we felt that the best way to do it, in addition to the interministerial committee that we have established, is to do an outreach program to the provinces and actually go right to the ground, where we go to the districts levels, where we meet with people at those local levels. So we are doing that already, and I agree with you that we need to go to other provinces. We have already done 6. We have been to Northwest Gauteng, Free State, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga. We still have to go to the other provinces. And when we go to these provinces, we meet with all stakeholders. We meet with provincial governments, the premiers, MECs, we meet with mayors, we meet with councillors, particularly your ward councillors, but we also meet with business. We also meet with NGOs on the ground. We meet with traditional leaders when we go to rural areas. And that's the way you're going to get the DDM right, is to ensure that the participants are the people themselves in those local areas. That's why I said earlier, Honorable House Chairperson, that we now have a war room that we are using to be able to fast track the rollout of this work. So the district-based service delivery coordination and implementation is done well through this war room, which is reporting to the office of the Deputy President. So I'm convinced that this is the right way to go, Honorable Member, and as you requested, we should fast track our approach to reach all provinces. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy Akbara Litspis.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy President, if I'm correct, the question refers to the Section 139 intervention, as opposed to the district development model and the effectiveness of that intervention. Now, Deputy President, the conflicts and uncertainties surrounding your proposed district development model for fixing South Africa's failing municipalities raise critical concerns about the balance of power between district municipalities, provincial authority, and the Constitution. Deputy President, how will you ensure that the district development model in South Africa effectively addresses the fundamental problem of conflicting interests and uncertainties, particularly in cases where district municipalities seek to intervene in local government without undermining constitutionally prescribed provincial authority and the unique situations of distressed municipalities?
Thank you. The Honorable the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Yes, the Honorable Member is right. The question at the beginning referred to Section 139. I did indicate that I see that as a last resort, because that's where, a provincial government can put a municipality under administration. But the approach that we seek to take, firstly, is that of support. Support in various ways, and only when that intervention is not working, then we then consider 139. But coming to the DDM, yes, the DDM is not, it's a mechanism that we must implement but avoid disrupting the work of other spheres of government. It's not intended for that, because the DDM does not have its own program. The DDM is a mechanism to ensure that government programs that already exist are implemented. When the president has delivered a SONA, premiers delivers their SOPAs, the executive mayors delivers their mayoral budget speeches. So the programs are already there. They are prioritized. The DDM is a mechanism for implementation. And the reason why it will be able to avoid destabilizing other programs or spheres of government is it's a partnership approach. So when we go to these areas, we are received by the mayors. They invite the premiers invite the MECs, the mayors. So almost everybody is there because this is born out of the spirit of one plans. That yes, you have different plans, but bring them together. Because if we pull them together, we will make an impact. And that's really the gist of the DDM. Pull the plans together that exist, because in that way, you are aligning and you'll make an impact. So that's really what we do. But thank you very much for the question. Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable GP. As we call now on Honorable Dana.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, there are many municipalities where the last resort of Section 139 has been implemented because the so-called support was insufficient. And Section 139 in essence may be an effective intervention tool, but the implementation thereof is extremely ineffective under provincial and national government. For example, the Mafube local municipality in the Free State is currently under intervention for the second time. The first time from 2017 to 2019 failed. The current intervention instituted in 2022 is failing, with the council recently even requesting the intervention team to be replaced because they are incompetent, unavailable, and unable to properly intervene in the circumstances in which this municipality finds itself. And that's only one example. So, Deputy President, I would like to know who should intervene when the intervention fails? Despite your service delivery war rooms and service delivery hotspots and other plans that have little to no effect, when a municipality, being under intervention for nearly 4 years, still cannot manage to pay salaries or deliver basic services. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable the DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Thank you to the member for the question. Well, let me just say that, as I said earlier, when a municipality fails, the first intervention is support. You support the municipality in various ways. You look at the capacity and so on. When that fails, Section 139 comes in. That's when the provincial government, through the Department of COGTA, may take over that municipality and run it. So if I understand the honorable member said there are instances where even that has not succeeded. And I think that's where national government should come in as a last resort, because if the intervention by a province does not work, then the Minister of COGTA need to come in to intervene and make sure that services are provided to the people on the ground, and the things that needs to be done by the municipality are done. Because when you intervene, it's not so much that you put in new leadership at the local level. National government can go straight on the ground. We have done it in some areas where people didn't have water. Instead of, spending time thinking who should be the next mayor and so on, national government goes straight on the ground and provide water and such services. So yes, national government is in fact the last resort if everything else fails, to move into a municipality and make sure that people do receive their services. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable DP. As we move to question number 23, asked by the Honorable Dr. Mulder to the Deputy President. The Honorable the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson, and thank you very much to Dr. Mulder. Honorable House Chairperson, after the successful convening of the National Dialogue on Coalition Government at the University of the Western Cape in August of this year, political parties felt that it would be proper for them to share the outcome of the dialogue with their member constituencies. Honorable Mulder will recall that at that dialogue, we agreed to come up with a declaration of some sort that shows what is it that we agree on, really in principle. And that was discussed, debated, but at the end, as I say, the parties then said, look, instead of adopting a finite declaration here, allow us to go back, report to our constituencies what came out of the dialogue, and study these matters further, and then we will come back. We'll come back with views from our constituencies. So indeed, we did send the declaration. It was a declaration and the roadmap to all the parties that participated in that dialogue. So where we are, we really want to thank the political parties that have submitted their input. Not all parties have responded as yet. I did say the last time I answered this question that it was only the IFP that has responded. I'm told by my office that there are others now who have also responded. We are compiling the list, but not everybody has responded. So we want to urge all political parties to submit as agreed so that we can then consolidate that report, prepare it, and submit it to Parliament before the end of this term. And that in that way, we would have concluded our work properly. So, Honorable House Chairperson, this is important because the dialogue is intended to produce a framework to urgently mitigate governance instability which pervades some of our municipalities that are currently governed by coalitions. So it's important that we finalize the framework. It will help us because we have seen the problems that some of our municipalities, particularly where there are coalitions, that people are not focusing on service delivery. And we want to ensure that there is a framework that can bind everybody to say what is important is service delivery to the people, good governance, ensure that there's resource mobilization that goes to serving communities, all these other issues. So I am awaiting a response from the rest. We will follow up with other parties, and we will then finalize that framework accordingly, and we will then bring it to Parliament for consideration. So that's where we are, Honorable House Chairperson, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, the Honorable DP. Dr. Mulder.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you to the Honourable Deputy President for the answer, for your reply. Deputy President, you will recall that at that conference, that's about 3 months ago, and the whole idea, as you correctly pointed out, was to try and find a framework so that we can take coalition governments in South Africa forward in a constructive manner. And I think there was agreement that everybody realizes that our democracy has developed to the point where coalitions are becoming a reality and that we need to find some kind of framework. I can understand, and it seems that the response from political parties and the furtherance of the process has not been that forthcoming, if I may put it in that way. I can understand that we still have time to try and get the necessary framework in place if you look specifically at local government and the next local government period that will start with the next election in 2026. My concern is that we are unlikely to find an agreement and amendments and legislation sorted in time for the local and national, the provincial and national election that will be next year, seeing that we are less than 5 months before the election. Are we not concerned that trying to find a framework at this stage will cause some problems because of the political climate that will have an effect on how people look at this kind of approach and framework? Thank you.
The Honorable the DP, thank you.
Chair, Dr. Melba, you are right. The sooner we finalize the framework, the better. I know that during the debate, the dialogue, there was an issue of whether we want legislation in this regard, and others were saying not necessarily, the framework is enough. Yeah, there was also concern whether you want to rush the framework because you anticipate that in the coming elections in 2024, there will be a need for coalition. And we kept saying not necessarily, but there's already a reality on the ground in municipalities where this framework is needed. And it is true that you know, when we started in 2016 with the municipalities, we were very unprepared for coalitions. We didn't have a framework. At the very least, each party had its own. And I think now we all came to the realization that we do need a framework. Should there be a need for legislation, that will be considered in the near future. But at the very least, I think we should have the framework concluded as soon as possible. So my office will remind all political parties to come on board so that we can do a consolidation of that report. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you. Potso e latelang e tla botswa ke Mme Majotina.
Mandibulele kuwe sihlalo. Sekela Mongameli. Njengoko kubonakele uqulu kubhede. Phaya komasipala xa kudityaniswa ulawulo. Ingaba okukongeza kwexesha ungakwazi ukusichazela into yoba la maqela ezopolitiko angekafaki izindululo zawo uwanika ixesha elingakanani na khona ukuze singavuli uhalala wento engapheliyo ngoba kuyonakala phaya ekuhlaleni kwaye noko ubunoyicacisa into yoba le nkqubo ilungiselelwa oomasipala bokuhlala asikafiki kulo ka-national nalo wephondo. Enkosi.
Thank you. The Honorable the DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Let me thank Honorable Majotina for the question. Honorable Majotina, ndizawufuna ukuba lo mcimbi suphelise before le parliament iqeda umsebenzi wayo. In other words, before the end of the term. Futhi besifuna ukuthi le framework lesikhuluma ngayo isetshenziswe lapha komasipala. Njengoba utsho ukuthi inkinga ayikhona lapha komasipala kakhulu. So le framework le yafunakala ndizawabhalela lamapati amanye ukuthi ozani phela njengoba nithembisile ukuthi nisafuna ukuyobona ama constituency wenu awu seku 3 months manje mababuye phela. So I'm happy to say that singayivuli lolo So the cutoff is the end of this financial term. But I'm hoping, Honorable Majodina, that maybe even before the end of this year, we should get those responses so that I can bring them through to Parliament. Ndiabulele. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Dr. Schreiber.
Thank you very much, Chair. Deputy President, I'm glad you mentioned some instances of dysfunction at local government level. And let's talk about one of those coalitions. In Johannesburg, roads are exploding and people are dying in building fires. Just yesterday, the DA won a court case which confirmed that the Joburg city manager was illegally appointed by the current coalition government. The truth is that Johannesburg is fast becoming ungovernable because its council is divided among 18 different political parties, including 8 parties which only have 1 seat each but hold the balance of power. This has been aggravated by the merry-go-round of motions of no confidence that we've seen there. Honourable Deputy President, given the way in which extreme political fragmentation has made functional coalitions impossible in Johannesburg, will you support the DA's motion to dissolve the Joburg City Council so that we can hold fresh elections where voters can restore stability? Thank you.
Mhlonishwa Sekela Mongameli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I have seen in the news a lot of stories about Joburg, and I've decided that the Minister of Cocta and myself should immediately intervene. So we will go to Joburg to deal with that situation. I often find that intervention of that nature is very helpful when you go to the ground, meet with the people, find out what the challenges are. If there's a need that we need to change people, that will be done. But we will let you know once we've intervened there, because I'm as concerned as you about Johannesburg. In fact, I live there, and I'm worried because Joburg is supposed to be the shining star. There was a time when we used to call it the Africa best city when Pakistan was still there. But we know that there are challenges now, so we will go and intervene. We have to get Joburg right. So I'm happy that you have asked that question, Honorable Member. You will hear from me. Siyabulela. Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Sithokoze mhlonishwa nasibiza uProfessor Musima.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Deputy President, since we did respond, one of the proposals that was put forward was that the largest party lead a coalition. There were concerns from other parties about this proposal model. Are you aware of the ruling party, if the ruling party has given consideration to that proposal? I thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Sithokoze mhlonishwa Sekela Mongameli.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. In fact, Honorable Member will recall that, in fact, that was also our proposal, if I recall very well. When Secretary General Fikile Mbalula presented our proposal, that was one of them. But there were parties who were saying maybe not necessarily. So I guess where we are, the issue is that we will deal with this within the framework when we finalize it. Because at the moment, it may also border on give and take. Because if you don't have a framework that is working on principle, you look for numbers. And if I want numbers, honorable member, I can give you a post and say, no, don't worry, you take the mayorship, but my team will take 8 MMCs. So people do those kind of things. Whereas if you have a proper somebody to mute.
Askis Deputy President, ke kgopela tshwarelo mo. Re Seabe, as a belief, mo tlosheng, mo tswalleng as a belief. Tswela pele Deputy President.
No, Honorable House Chairperson, we will fine-tune and finalize this when we finalize the framework.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last question of the day is question 24, asked by the Honorable Ramulubeng to the Deputy President. The Deputy President.
Honorable House Chair, thank you very much. Honorable House Chair, after the national tragedy in July 2021, which left over 354 people dead, especially in some parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed an expert panel led by Professor Sandy Africa, Advocate Mujanku Gumbi, and Mr. Silumko Sokupa as additional members to investigate the incident and report to him. Honorable House Chairperson, on Friday the 4th of February 2022, President Cyril Ramaphosa tabled the expert panel's report to the National Security Council. Among other findings, the report of the panel highlighted the weaknesses of state institutions to conduct timely risk assessment and the ability of these institutions to forewarn police and government of similar impending violence. One area of concern as raised by the panel was the lack of capacity of the police officers to stop and contain the rioting and looting, as well as the lack of capacity within the SAPS to control huge crowds. In this regard, we have already indicated, as reported to the National Council of Provinces earlier, that 10,000 police trainees have already graduated this year, and this recruitment drive will be implemented annually for the next 2 financial years, and in that case, bringing the number, as I said earlier, to about 30,000 new recruits. I said earlier, Honorable House Chair, that 1,000 of these have now been reinforced to serve in the public order policing, which now boasts about additional 4,000 members through this recruitment drive. Furthermore, the South African Police Service has also developed what they call the Increased Crime Prevention and Combating Action Plan. And they do this in collaboration with other law enforcement partners, whether they be Metropolitan Police, private sector, etc. And that will ensure that they are able to immediately stabilize areas where there is violent crime. Ministers of the JCPS cluster have since committed to strengthen the criminal justice system and capacitating law enforcement personnel to serve our people better. We have also been engaging other countries which have state-of-the-art criminal justice system to share some of the good practices for us to be able to bring improvements in our own country. So there's a lot of work now happening to ensure that we should not be caught off guard. and the JCPS, which I chair, is driving that process. Honorable House Chair, I thank you.
Thank you, DP. Mayor Anthea Ramulube.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for a comprehensive response, Deputy President. We appreciate the efforts of government in strengthening the GCPS cluster, including capacitating subs, by way of recruitment of more police officers that we have elaborated on, and the implementation of the basic police training and development program, as well as appointments that have been made in the leadership of the State Security Agency. Deputy President, the terrible mayhem and violence meted out during the July 2021 unrest undermined the legitimacy of state institutions and left the nation psychologically traumatized. Apart from the implementation of the panel's recommendation, what other measures will government put in place to capacitate state institutions to effectively execute their mandate in order to increase public confidence in our state institutions? I thank you.
Re leboga, Re Motlatsamopresidente.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson, and thank you very much to Honorable Ramulube. I think in a way, Honorable Member, I have alluded to some of the things that we are doing in this regard, as you yourself acknowledge. Training is one of them, increasing the number of police officers. But beyond that, we have decided that one of the critical areas that we need to invest in is intelligence. Because you can have a big number of police officers on the ground, but if they have no information, real information or information real time, they may not be able to do better policing. So we have agreed that let's also capacitate the crime intelligence unit within the SAPS, and also the investigate directorate. So many of these institutions need to be capacitated, as we spoke about it earlier, because once you do so, then they give capacity to men and women on the ground. They operate with knowledge, they know what they can expect, what is coming. And that's really what we are doing now to ensure that these institutions are capacitated, and they must be able to deal with all sort of complexities that they find on the ground, corruption, criminality. So we expect that the National Director of Public Prosecution will play a leading role in this regard to ensure that we improve in the way we do our work. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Thank you very much, Honorable Ramulube.
Thank you. Akhbaralit Kakhla.
Thank you, Chair. This Parliament is littered with experiences of investigations, panel reports, commissions. The High-Level Review Panel report of 2018 has the majority of its recommendations still unfulfilled. The Zondo Commission, where we've seen no arrests, despite astounding revelations. And this expert panel report specifically about tasking security institutions to forewarn the police and government of impending violence was much praised in July last year. Then how was it that this country was surprised by the burning of its 21 trucks this year? Again, no warning arrived despite the billions spent on the security services. Once again, our police were caught with their pants down. The violent protests and crime rates are soaring. So it seems to me your words ring rather hollow, and that this latest panel was just another smokescreen to make it look as though you're doing something, when in fact you're achieving nothing. Do pinpoint for this House what exactly has been achieved by commissioning this, no doubt horrendously expensive, expert panel report.
Thank you. Matlatsama Presidente.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. I see the member is giving up too early. I've just said that the president received the report. We are now busy with implementing the report. You know, things don't happen overnight, honorable member. We have to train people. We have to put capacity. So watch the space. There will be improvement, but things won't happen overnight. I know you are a bit impatient, but be assured that the government is on top of the situation. Thank you very much.
Sithokoze. Mhlonishwa Mkhwebane.
Ngiyathokoza, Chairperson, Deputy President. The ANC government stands in fighting crime. Any crime, including violent crime, shows that the ANC wants to be seen to be committed to fighting crime. But the panel report does show that actually the weakness is in the ANC in fighting crime in all spheres. Therefore, it's very disappointing that to combat crime, including corruption, money laundering, there are instances like the Pala Pala Farm scandal involving concealed cash and potential tax evasion. The South African Reserve Bank, SARS, and the Public Protector have all found in favor of the president. The only person who was committed to deal with this was removed from the system. So this is a challenge because then it shows that there's a rod from the head. Why does the justice system fail or appear to fail to act against
Thank you,
the president?
Honorable
Because when you
Mkhwebane.
fight
Your
crime,
time is
that should
up.
be dealt with. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. Honorable Mkhwebane, welcome. It's your maiden question to the Deputy President. Let me put it this way, Honorable Mkhwebane. The law does not have eyes. So when the law has been implemented, it doesn't look and say, oh, this one is the president. Let's treat him differently. You would recall that right from the beginning with the allegations of Pala Pala and anything else, the president himself said, I subject myself to the processes of the law. Let those agencies that are been tasked to do the task, let them be allowed to do it. Let them investigate, let's give them their space. So once they've done so, I think it is our duty to be able to say, thank you very much, you have done the work, we accept the reports. I don't think we must want to accept the reports that we want or that we anticipated. I think we must respect the professionalism of those who have tasked to do the work. So there may be allegations of tax evasion, etc., but I have confidence in the law enforcement agencies of the country. I have confidence in the criminal justice system that it will deal with all of us without fear or favor. There's no favoritism in the justice, criminal justice system. Whether you are president, deputy president, minister, or advocate, the law is the same for all of us. It's just that the problem is that we as a public, sometimes we become the court ourselves and we found people guilty when they are not found guilty by the court of laws. So I'm happy, Honorable House Chairperson, with the work that is being done by this institution that we have tasked. I think let's respect their work. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable members, There was no request for the last supplementary question, and as such, that concludes questions to the Deputy President, and I want to thank you, Deputy President, and bon voyage. Thank you very much. Honorable members, I request members to stand and wait for the chair and the maids to leave the chamber. That concludes the business for the day, and the House is adjourned.